By the way, I'm 95. I don't remember names very well. Now, I'll tell you the story with Mr. Armstrong now. My name is Yvonne Lambie, born in Harlem, June 14, 1929. Lived in Harlem until 1956. In 1956, I moved out to Corona, Queens. My father didn't like Louis Armstrong because my father didn't like African Americans acting clownish. My father hated that. And he used to say that about him. He said, look at his talent. Why does he have to be? I even told Louis Armstrong that. But my father died my father died in '64. So he never got to meet Louis Armstrong. But after I met Louis Armstrong, he is serious. He's intelligent. He's world traveled. Everything about Louis, I learned with my BA, my 2 masters, and almost finished my PhD. I learned a lot just talking to Louis Armstrong. He is that kind of a person. If he doesn't like you, forget it. Forget it. He says, but I love what you're doing with the kids. That's why I like you. And Lucille and Louis were on the same wavelength. Same wavelength. He wrote a letter to the school. He said, I'm inviting you down to my house July 4th. We have a party every year for my birthday. And he said, I want you to come over. The next thing I know, I go down there. He said, hey, you're Miss Lambie? I said, yeah. And I told you he had on red shorts. And I said, oh, red shorts, man, that's doing it a bit. He said, I knew I was gonna like you. I knew I was gonna like you. And we sat down there and talked, and he was telling me that he liked the idea that I was really interested in the kids other than just in the classroom. Because if you really acted up, I'm coming to your house. You can bet I'll be at your house next week. So they kind of calmed down some. Now Louis would have all kind of parties for the kids, a lot of hot dogs, hamburgers and everything. And they were out there eating. Hey, you had enough. You had 4, I saw that. And they would say, but they're good, Mr. Armstrong, they're good. Some of them called him Louis, but most of them called him Mr. Armstrong, most of them. There were other kids on the block that wanted to do well, and they loved Louis. They loved Louis because he did take all his energy.
How you doing, Miss Lambie? This is Willie Johnson. I don't know if you fully remember me. I'm part of the Johnson Boys. We grew up across the street from Louis Armstrong. I remember you and all my elementary school teachers because you was a prominent and important person or people in my life that left a great impact. But as far as you were one that instilled within me a degree of integrity, pride, and self-respect. I have a dual master's degree, which throughout my educational process, I graduated with an A average. I've been working with people for well over 30-something years with various social ills that people may have encountered. But once again, I just want to say to you, I don't know if anyone ever said it, but I truly love the education that you bestowed upon me that helped me within my growth process. And you was probably one of the best and most impactful educators that I've encountered throughout my whole educational process. Miss Lambie, the Golden Ruler. Love you. Thank you for contributing to my life that makes me who I am today.
God, that makes you, that's how it makes you cry. When you see things and you know this is going to happen because you know these kids got it. They got it. And that's what I tell them when they, I'll kill you. I will kill you. You just learn. Oh my God, that's wonderful. That's what makes this world. He would talk about they were going to Russia or someplace, the Olympics, and he was strictly against some undercover. He said there was some undercover prejudice going on. And he was known as the, Louis Armstrong. But he was a Malcolm X at heart. A Malcolm X at heart. Our conversation, not only the little ones, the big ones. What did they do? How did they succeed? What happened with this one? Is this one so-and-so? This one so-and-so? And that's how we spoke. We sat in that house, and I get there 1 o'clock in the afternoon sometime, and didn't leave until 10 and 11 at night. Just serious talking and watching the kids. He would say, Lambie, get that one. You're gonna have to work on that one. And these are the kids that would come in his house. He traveled a lot. I traveled a lot. He never went to Antarctica. And I would say, I said, you didn't get a chance to go to Antarctica, But we would talk about Africa a lot. He went to a lot of countries, but I went to more countries than he did as well. I hitchhiked through Africa. I did everything in my younger days. And I said, well, you did the camels in Egypt, but I did the camels in Australia. He said, what camels in Australia? And we were just, it was amazing. We talked about everything and nothing. They opened that Elm Court Center. He was glad because of the drugs. He said, Lambie, I used to smoke so much damn pot. He would tell me that. He said, but some of these kids, they're just going beyond. He said, it's just terrible. They're going beyond. He was deaf on that. And so was I. So was I. Crack wasn't there. It was heroin. Heroin. No cocaine. That didn't exist. Then after, here came crack. Crack. That came, and that was deadly. Deadly. Lucille was great. Great. She didn't come out. She just liked company, and yes, she gave money to Elm Court. Yes, definitely. A lot. Louis did too when it opened. He would give it a don't say.
Anonymous.
Yes, definitely. And she did that too, a lot. Because I remember she get me an envelope. And I know it was cash. And they were doing something over at Elmcore, and she told me, take it over there for me. I remember, very, very generous in the neighborhood, very. In the end, there was not a lot of people that was in and out of his house. Not a lot. I was there a lot, because he would call, hey, Lambie, what you doing? Come on down. Hey, Lambie, what you doing? Come on down. You know, like that. Bring your mother. Your mother's funny. Bring your mother. I like her. And you know the backyard where, as you go in the kitchen, you know how it's raised up, that part. He used to have the barbecues and stuff set up there, set up on that level. And the next level down towards the back, that's where he had his lounge chair and other chair. That's where the two of us used to sit. We talk about everything, everything, everything. He was, I can say, they don't have too many people like him. What is this? See what she gave?
No! That is gorgeous!
That's Lucille, my girl. These are Louis.
Yes.
Everything here, his fingerprints was on. Everything in this pile. Louis. It all started when they were talking about making a name for the school because the school didn't have any name, and they were naming it after somebody I never heard of. And I said, you gotta be kidding. I said, Louis Armstrong had done a lot for the kids in the school. We're gonna name this school after Louis Armstrong. Now, Helen Marshall was the borough president. I grew up with Helen Marshall. I knew her since I was 12 years old in Harlem. And Helen Marshall, I said, Helen, we gotta do something. We gotta name the school after Louis Armstrong, because he deserves it. Because he really was with me through thick and thin in the school. And that's how we got to dedicate the name, with the help of Helen Marshall, who was the borough president.